Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillahi amma ba'd. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. So let's inshallah we will begin our last major topic in ilmu sarf, and that is inshallah we'll study irregular verbs. And we have discussed multiple times that what are these irregular verbs, that those verbs in their original root letters, we have either waw or ya or hamza. Okay, so let's inshallah begin this study today. So first of all, what are the irregular words in ilmu sarf? Which words are considered irregular? There are three types of irregularities. Number one, it's called mahmuz, and this word mahmuz is from the hamza. And what is hamza? We all know that hamza means when alif has any haraka on it. This is called hamza. So when one of the root letters is hamza, we call this one mahmuz. And when any of in any of the word, when there's a repetition of, for example, there are three root letters and letter number 2 and 3 are same, they are repeated basically. Letter number 2 and letter number 3, which mean kalimatul ain and kalimatu lam, they are repeated. This is called muda'af. Okay, muda'af. And last and third irregularity is called mu'attal. What is mu'attal? Because there are two huruf which are called huruf illat. Huruf illat. From this illat we have the word mu'attal. Okay, so what are those words which are called mu'attal? When one or two of the root letters are vowels. In the original letters, either one or two are vowels. What are the vowels? Waw or ya. Right? So this is the main discussion, that irregular verbs are either mahmuz or muda'af or mu'attal. Right? Now let's look at them inshallah one by one. First of all, mahmuz. Now obviously if mahmuz means that one of the letters in the root letters is hamza, right? Now obviously we said that this one can be in the start, this one can be in the middle, and this one can be at the end. Now, which means that mahmuz will be in three categories. Okay, if the first of original letter is hamza, this is called mahmuz al fa, kalimatul fa. And if middle letter kalimatu ain is hamza, then we call it, and by the way, example of mahmuzul fa is akala. You see, hamza, kaf and lam, three root letters, right? And the first one is mahmuz. The first one is hamza, so that's why it is called mahmuz, and it will be mahmuz al fa. Why? Because kalimatul fa is hamza, right? Second subcategory in mahmuz will be called mahmuzul ain, which means if the middle letter is hamza, as sa'ala, you can see sin, hamza and lam, right? And third one obviously will be called mahmuzul lam. If the last letter lam kalima is hamza, example dara'a. Okay, dara'a. So this is just a brief discussion about what irregularities are, right? Now, like we said that there are three types of irregularities. First was mahmuz, and mahmuz has these three subcategories: mahmuzul fa, ain or lam. Second one was muda'af. And what was muda'af? When second and third kalima are same, they are repeated. Example, qassasa yakussu. You see, qassa, sorry, not qassasa, qassa. Qassa yakussu. You can see qassa, qaf, sad and sad, because tashdid or shadda mean that this letter is twice, right? So this is the example of muda'af, in which letter number 2 and 3, which means kalimatu ain and lam, they are basically same letter. And then the third category was mu'attal. What was mu'attal? One more time, what was mu'attal? In which we have the waw or ya, right? Now, if only one letter is waw or ya, let's deal with them first. So, if this letter waw or ya is coming in the start, which means kalimatul fa is either waw or ya, we'll call this one misal, right? Misal means that it has waw or ya, but this waw or ya is coming in the position of kalimatu fa. And if this waw or ya are coming in the middle, okay, ajwaf, when the second root letter is either waw or ya, then this word is classified as ajwaf. Ajwaf is from the jaw. Jaw means the belly, middle, okay. And then third type is called nakis. Nakis is still the same category, but this one is if this waw or ya coming at the end, okay, when the third root letter is waw or ya, the word is classified as nakis. As you can see, they have given the example as well. Wada'a, example of misal. Qala, you can see in the middle, okay, and yakulu, qala yakulu. And then nakis is da yadu. You can see that it is coming towards the end. Now, when it comes to two letters, please pay attention. When it comes to two letters which are waw and ya, from the original letters, two of them are waw or ya, we call this one simply lafif. Please pay attention. If two letters are of the original root letters are waw or ya, we call this one lafif. But lafif has two types. Either mafruq means that those waw and ya, they are not consecutively coming. They have some distance. For example, look at the example, this one. Waka, same word from which you have the word taqwa, vikaya. Okay, so waka, you can see that waw, first letter, and then qaf, and then ya is third letter. So basically, waw and ya, they are two letters which are waw and ya, which are from this huruf illat, but they are not coming consecutively. We call this one lafif. Lafif means two, but mafruq. They have difference. There's distance between them. In opposite to that, lafiful makroon. Makroon means when waw and ya are right after each other. In this example of lawa yalvi, you can see lawa yalvi, waw and ya are consecutive, letter number 2 and 3 consecutively are waw and ya. So this is just you can see, it's not the detail, it's a brief overview of what the regularities are, what are their main categories, and what are their subcategories. Now, obviously, I use many terminologies. Here's my advice and suggestion. I will share these notes in the group. Please read the notes carefully and ask me any of your questions in our next class. And after answering your questions, then inshallah we'll move on into the detailed study of these three things: mahmuz and mu'attal. And remember, these are the main categories. Remember this one: mahmuz, mudaf, and mu'attal. These are the main categories. Okay, rest of them are just their details. So inshallah, I will share these notes in the group. You can read them, and you are more than welcome to ask me your questions in the next class. But right now, my suggestion is first read them, inshallah. Make sense, brothers?
Yeah, makes sense.
So this was, by the way, as we know that we have to end class on time as well. So inshallah you can join, but I'm not still sure that why a lot of people are still not in the class, because it's almost 50% are still not in the class. I don't know why. So anyhow, this was our first topic. Now I just want to discuss because some of you have asked me in the class as well, and this question was asked. A couple of people asked me in the group in the messages as well. They are really, still not fully clear on the concept of mubdal and sifa. Anyone who is right now in the class, are you clear on the concept of mubdal and sifa?
I'm not clear about.
Okay, I just want to give you, inshallah, an example from in the English language. So, inshallah, because obviously most of us, inshallah, understand these things. So, inshallah, it will be easy for you to understand this difference. Give me 1 second. I just share my whiteboard, and inshallah, I write down something here. For example, look at this one, brother. If I say that he, and then I put a comma, Muhammad is sick. We all know that sometimes we write like this one, okay? Brother, this is the concept of badal, which we express in English language like this. For example, this he is actually substitution for this one. So you can see he is sick, but just to make it further clear, said Muhammad is sick, okay? But you can substitute, this is called substitution. Substitution. To substitute something. So this is the concept of brother badal and mubdal minhu. Now, as opposite to that, if I say like this, I just want to think some example which can make sense for us. Okay, yes. This is the example I can think of. The tall boy is sick. Look at this one. Tall boy. This will be the example of Mawsuf Sifa. Because right now, it is not that you can substitute either one of them. Rather, you need to use both of them because tall is describing this boy. Okay, obviously in Arabic language, Mawsuf comes. Sorry? Someone said something. But brother Zaveed, is it clear for this example now? Sorry?
Here, brother.
Basically, brother, in a nutshell, my brother, if any one of you is confused on this point, badal is simply that you substitute one word for the other. It's not that one word is describing the other. So it is the you can say the connection of either this or this. You can use either one of them. If you say Muhammad is sick or he is sick, you are referring to same person. Okay, so this is not Mawsuf Sifa. Okay, this one is Mawsuf Sifa when really one word is describing the other. Let me try to give you one more example. For example, if I say he, and then I say I.e. Muhammad is my friend. This is the case of badal. You can clearly see the difference now that it is not that one thing is using as the adjective. It is the alteration, substitution. You can use either this or that. So now please tell me if this concept is clear or not. Can anyone give me some feedback?
It is clear to me.
Now, for example, if you recall in your mind our discussion of Surah Al-Fatiha, then we said that Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim, right? And then we said Siratal Lazina An'amta Alayhim Ghairil Maghdubi Alayhim Waladdallin Amin. Actually, let me actually open that page so you can be inshallah fully clear that that how was that badal. Just give me 1 second. So this was the surah which we did last time. Now, when we said that Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim, and then we said Sirat al-Lazina, at that time I said that this Sirata is the badal for this one, right? So the reason is you can clearly see that you can say Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim, or you can say this one, because this thing is a replacement of the previous thing. This sirat is the replacement of this, or not actually, the right word is substitution, because the proper term I was looking in, they translate this word badal as substitution. So you substituted this word of sirat with this sirata, right? So this is the this was, and secondly, understand this point. This was our big discussion last time, that Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim, we said that ihd was fail, na was maf'ul, as-sirata was second maf'ul, al-Mustaqim was the sifa for as-sirata. Now sirata, yes, it was badal, but because sirata was connected to allazina an'amta alayhim ghairil maghdubi alayhim waladdallin, that whole thing is actually connected. From this allazina, whole thing was connected to sirata. So the whole thing is actually from this sirata all the way till end is the badal for this sirata. Why? Because from this sirata everything is connected. How is that? This sirata was connected to allazina is a mawsul and an'amta alayhim sila. So this allazina mawsul and an'amta alayhim sila, this jumlatul mawsula was the mudaf ilay for sirata. That was one point. And then this ghairil maghdub alayhim, this was the sifa. This was the sifa for this allazina an'amta alayhim. So in this way, this thing connected with this thing, and which means that both together connected with this sirata, which means that from this sirata all the way till end, the whole thing is actually a badal. How? That this sirata as mudaf and rest of the whole thing as its mudaf ilay. And within that mudaf ilay, you have mawsul, you have sila, you have this adjective for this mawsul, but all of that is basically connected. Now, what I will do is I'll show you one thing here. I just want to open something. So yes, now you can see on the screen as well. What I will do, brothers, is inshallah I will share with you. I was looking that I found this one, and this one, mashallah, was a very good explanation of this whole concept of badal, and they actually explain it, mashallah, in very good way. May Allah reward them. Inshallah, I'll share this one in the group. After what I just explained, read this as well, and then please ask me if something is still confusing. You can ask me, inshallah, in next class. Clear? Brother Zaveed, you inshallah clear now?
Yes, brother, very clear.
So, but inshallah, like I said, you still please read this explanation, which I will share in the group. And then you will be, bi'iznillahi ta'ala, it will be inshallah very clear, and inshallah in a lot of details. When you read this explanation, it has a lot of details as well, which you will read them inshallah, and then you can come back to me on Monday if there's still something not clear. So please tell me one thing. Is anyone who is right now in the class attending Sheikh Hatim's class? So I can know.
I generally attend, but if you continue, I will be here. That's fine.
I think Brother Shoaib, I think you want to, I think, attend as well.
Yeah, that's okay. You can go on. No issues.
Okay, just inshallah give me 10 more minutes, or just inshallah at least cover something. So then inshallah I will end with this one. So this was our first task. So we, alhamdulillah, we started that irregular verbs, and secondly, this concept of badal. This was a question from many of you. Now I want to inshallah share something here on the screen, because a brother Tafazzul asked me, and I think Brother Abdul Bari asked me in the past as well, that inshallah I have found something very inshallah beneficial on this subject, as you asked me about the i'rab of the whole Quran. It is not actually in the one volume. It has, I think, something around 10 volumes, but still inshallah I will share in the group. As you can see, this is mashallah very nicely explained i'rab for the whole Quran. For example, as you can see, zalikal kitab, okay, they say that this ismul ishara, blah blah blah, la riba fi, you know.
Well, are you sharing the screen, brother?
Oh, sorry. My apologies. I forgot to share. Is it clear? Can you see now?
Yeah.
Okay. So inshallah, what I will do is, this is a book. It's called, let me show you the name. Al-I'rabul Mufassal li Kitabillahi Murattal. MashaAllah, in this one, and this first volume has Surah Fatiha till the end of Surah Al-Baqarah. And in this way, it is, I think, in something around 10 volumes. So inshallah, I will share all of these volumes in the group. You can save somewhere. And I am more than sure, inshallah, you'll find this one very beneficial. For example, as you can see that how, you know, they break down, for example, this ayah, summun bukmun umyun fahum la yarji'un. So they break down the ayah and then they did the whole analysis. So this was one point, because this was asked by, because I will understand this. Now we are towards the conclusion of the whole thing. So inshallah, I just want to make sure that all of these areas are addressed. Now, lastly, let's inshallah just spend 5 minutes to at least do something on the text of Salah. So this was our first bit for today's analysis. Subhana Rabbiyal Azim. So first of all, this word Subhan is the same word which we discussed when we discussed Subhanakallahumma. It is same word. Okay. So Subhan is coming as a mudaf here. And Rabbi is mudaf ilay. But at the same time, Rabbi itself a mudaf ilay as well, because Rabb plus Yi, it's also mudaf ilay. So Subhan is mudaf, Rabbi mudaf ilay, but Rabbi itself is also mudaf ilay. And then Al-Azimi. Now, whenever you see in Ism in jar status, we know the process that we always look that either there is a mudaf before it or there is a preposition before it. Now, before Al-Azimi, what do you have? You have this Ya. Not Rabbi, Ya, because Ya is the word which is immediately before Rabbi, right? And we know that Ya is an attached pronoun. It can become mudaf ilay, but it never becomes mudaf. So it cannot be the case of mudaf ilay. That is out of option. Second option is there's a jar before it. Obviously, there's no jar before Al-Azimi. Then what's the last option left? We have discussed multiple times that you have to see that something has come before this word, before Al-Azimi. Look at the i'rab of Al-Azimi and see that which word has the same i'rab before it, and this will be either the badal for that word or sifa for that word. Now, Al-Azimi, jar status, Before al-azimi, there's only one word, Rabbi, which is in jar status, right? So which means that this al-azimi is actually the sifa. And sifa for who? Sifa for Rabbi. Because Rabb and Ye are connected, so the whole thing Rabbi. So Subhana Rabbi al-Azim. So which means instead of saying that Rabbi is mudaf ilay, now you will say that Rabbi al-Azim is mudaf ilay. So Subhana mudaf and Rabbi al-Azim is mudaf ilay because Rabbi al-Azim are linked together. So again the same concept, you only have a mudaf ilay fragment and that's it. And now you need to justify that what this fragment is doing here. Same concept. They say that there is a implied verb, and we have discussed that implied verb in the past. And what was that? Sabbahtu, either sabbahtu or usabbihu. Sabbahtu is number 13 from Madi, and usabbihu is number 13 from Mudari. Okay, so sabbahtu or usabbihu is the implied verb, and this mudaf ilay is actually playing the role of maf'ul for that. Remember one point clearly. Today I looked for this word subhan, and this was my conclusion. Pretty much all of them, they said that this word subhan is actually used in the Quran just for this one role. What is that role? Maf'ul. Sometimes you will find its fail, and otherwise sometimes its fail is employed. In this case, Subhana Rabbi al-Azim, because Subhan obviously is connected to Rabbi al-Azim, but I am just mentioning about the word Subhan. Okay, the word Subhan in our Quran and Sunnah, it is used as maf'ul, right? Sometimes its fail is found in the text, sometimes its fail is employed. But it always, pretty much all of them, they said the same thing, that Subhan plays the role of maf'ul. That is one point. Secondly, they say that this word Subhan is actually the masdar. Now we know the concept of masdar. So they say that this is some sabbaha, fail madi, yusabbihu, mudare, and then masdar is tasbihan or subhan. They say that this subhan is the second masdar, or it is also the masdar for the ism sabbaha. So this is the how they explain this word subhan, pretty much all of them.
Can you please repeat this sentence, Ustad? Sabbaha yusabbihu.
Sabbaha yusabbihu tasbihan, right? Now they say you can also say sabbaha yusabbihu subhana. Why I did not put the tanween? I said before that subhan is from those words they cannot take kasra and tanween. So it remains normally, as I said before, sabbaha yusabbihu and tasbihan. Tasbihan.
So, along with tasbihan,
yeah,
subhana can also be an alternate masdar.
Exactly.
Right.
Basically, brother, subhana, and this was pretty much all of them, they said the same thing. They said that from the fail sabbaha, because subhana is from those words, it cannot take tanween. You can't say subhanan because it can't take tanween, right? So that's why you just say subhana. You don't say subhanan, but it is actually an alternative masdar for tasbihan. And it plays the role of maf'ul. These two things you remember, that subhan, number one, it is a masdar for the verb sabbaha. And number two, it always plays the role of maf'ul. And number three is also almost certain that it always comes as mudaf. For example, whichever ayah you recall in your mind, you will notice that it is coming as mudaf. For example, Subhana allazi asra bi abdihi. Subhanaka Allahumma. Subhana Rabbi al-Ala. Subhana Rabbi al-Azim. So this is, you can say, one of the features when they reflected on the usage of Subhana, they drive this feature that it comes as mudaf. And it plays the role of maf'ul.
The brother with the Rabbi, so it's Rabbi and E,
Yep.
because it's Ana version E. So why Rabbi A? Why we have fatha with this ear here?
Okay, brother, this was actually just Rabbi. This fatha is given to connect this word with the next one.
Okay.
Because when we need to connect this previous word with the next one, sometimes, many a time they give kasra, but sometimes you see that they give fatha and dhamma as well.
Probably kasra will make it awkward here. Rabbi il azim. Probably that's why I don't know. But
You are right.
Yeah.
Kasra is commonly seen, but at the same time, it is not, you can say, the 100%. Sometimes you see fatha and dhamma as well, by the way.
Jazakallah.
So to
Brother.
summarize, as I understand, the word Subhana comes in the Quran always in two forms. As it plays as a role of maf'ul, or for an implied verb, sabbaha.
Yep.
And also it always comes as a mudaf.
Okay, brother, we would not say that it always play the role of maf'ul for sabbaha. No, it will always play the role of maf'ul. This is correct. But if we want to know the derivation of subhana, it is derived from the sabbaha family.
All right. Okay.
And point number 3, you often see in Quran and Sunnah, it comes as mudaf.
Okay.
So subhana, now obviously we do not, when we go in our salah, we do not say the employed fail, obviously. So when you say Subhana Rabbi al-Azim, so you are basically saying that glorified you are, my Rabb, you are glorified and you are almighty, al-Azim. Okay, so obviously when we are reciting in our salah, we are not using the grammatical structure of implied fail. Okay, so this is when we are saying Subhana Rabbi al-Azim, we are basically saying that, oh Allah, tasbih, your is tasbih and you are al-Azim, you are almighty. And inshallah, with this we end. I just say this thing, that obviously if you understand this one, Subhana Rabbi al-Ala is same, right? Because only difference is al-Azim is the sifa in this case, and al-Ala, most high, is the sifa in that case.